graduation in February, and when she asked me to be her maid of honor, I was super excited. There were various responsibilities that I had. I was really excited about all of them, except making the toast. I kept trying to come up with excuses for myself, like, oh, this etiquette book here, it says that the best man is usually the only one to make a toast. And this one here, it says that the maid of honor isn't required to make one. Maybe I shouldn't do a toast. And, we want more time for dancing anyway. Nobody really likes to listen to toasts, do they? However, no matter what I told myself and my family, I knew I was disappointing myself and letting down my sister, even though she's way too nice to ever tell me this so. And then this first assignment came up, and I knew God was kicking me in the rear end, saying, Christine, it doesn't matter how you feel. This is Rachel and Jeremy's day, and you really get to show just how much you love them, so do it. Rachel's my older sister, and I consider myself incredibly blessed to be able to say that. Sure, she may have occasionally tormented me and picked on me, like when she used to hide around dark corners and jump out at me, causing to leap away from her screaming, even though I knew she was there ahead of time. Or when she would chase me up the stairs, whacking me on the butt if I didn't run fast enough. But in spite of her torments, I could probably go on for a while now, Rachel really has been great. When we were little, she always played with me. She came up with the coolest ideas, like our Beanie Baby village, in which all the animals had their own individual job. She also came up with awesome, random, imaginary games where we pretended to be from the colonial days as Indians or Revolutionary War soldiers. These games consisted of me following Rachel around the yard, carrying a badminton racket rifle, screaming that the British were coming every time a car drove up the street. Or she painted our little brothers and my faces like warriors from Pocahontas, leading Daniel, who played the part of Papoose, by a jump rope tied around his waist. She could always persuade us that the branches we had laid against the tree were actually a teepee. Every time Rachel told a story or came up with a game to play, it was real. Our Beanie Babies truly did go to work every day, and those red coats really were coming up the road. And we genuinely did live in the forest. Even as we got older and Rachel's interests changed for mine, she was still willing to hang out with me and entertain me. She started writing stories, which I fell in love with just as easily as if they had been published books from the library. Our particular favorite was the story of this girl who winds up on the Titanic with her family and these two really fantastic guys. It never ended because neither of us could decide which one of the guys should die on the Titanic and which of the ones should miraculously survive to marry her. But we both still love the story anyway. Rachel also introduced me to the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, even allowing me occasionally to hang out with her and her friends, so we could all jump on the bed together singing super loud and off-key to Bye 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 and other similar meaningful songs. When she went off to college, my mom, dad, Daniel, and I all thought our social life was over because Rachel had always been the one to come up with entertaining things to do or neat places to go. She was basically the only one to ever call people and organize get-togethers. And for a while after she left, we were genuinely really bored and purposeless, and we didn't go anywhere because we couldn't think of any place to go, and we just didn't know what to do without her around. After quite a struggle, however, we did manage to learn how to survive without Rachel, and our lives fell into a new routine, which we were so proud of that we actually started writing everything down, and we titled the list, Life Without Rachel. While this did slightly insult Rachel, because she thought we were having too much fun without her, it really was a good thing for us, because while she was in Ohio, Rachel met Jeremy. Our family had no real objection to Rachel dating Jeremy. After all, she seemed very happy with him, and that made us happy. However, when relationships started getting serious, and we realized that Jeremy was from Missouri, we were a little concerned. I mean, really, who was this guy? None of us had ever actually met him before, and how could we possibly know if he was actually worthy of Rachel? He was going to have to be pretty fantastic before he could even start thinking about bringing her to some far-off state like Missouri. We had to come up with some sort of way to judge this Jeremy's worth. Not just anyone could be trusted with Rachel, and we certainly weren't going to allow some unknown boyfriend to simply waltz into the family circle without being duly tested. Our self-assigned task proved to be difficult due to the fact that while Rachel and Jeremy were all nice and cozy out in Ohio, we remained behind in Connecticut approximately 10 hours away. Our situation was soon improved when we heard that Rachel and Jeremy would soon be meeting the Gross family. This family includes my father's older sister, Aunt Sarah, our Uncle John, Philip, and Lauren. Lauren, Rachel, and I are all about as close as sisters, in spite of the fact that they live all the way in New York. And so we knew that we could trust the Grosses to test Jeremy in a way that only Carpenter family relatives could, by feeling comfortable acting as crazy and goofy as Carpenters do when they come together. Sticking Cheetos up their noses, playing really weird random games in the middle of restaurants while waiting to be served. You got the idea. So with tense nerves and sweaty palms, we waited for the fateful phone call that would give us the Grosses' verdict. It came, and they loved him. He was so polite and friendly. He could cope with and even respond positively to the silliness. And most importantly, he treated Rachel like a princess. Well, we were pleased with the results of the first family introduction, but we Connecticut people were still concerned. We knew we had to meet Jeremy in person, so we drove the whole 10 hours out to Steubenville to meet him. And he was wonderful. Everything that the Grosses had said about Jeremy was true. He was funny, he liked the things we liked, was easy to talk to, came from a strong Catholic background, and really genuinely loved Rachel. Not only was Jeremy great the first time we met him, but he kept getting better each and every time we saw him. He bonded with Daniel over video games and would spend time with him playing basketball, soccer, frisbee, or whatever else Daniel was interested in. In fact, the first time Jeremy came to our house, he brought a video game of his own and gave it to Daniel to keep. Daniel was thrilled. Jeremy was always willing to help my mom do chores around the house, and she loved his patience and kindness towards everyone. And Jeremy's perseverance in getting a job in this tough economy so he could provide for Rachel himself especially impressed my dad. When he asked for Rachel's hand in marriage, my dad was perfectly willing to say yes. I had always thought it would be great to have an older brother, and Jeremy became just that for me. He edited papers for me, endured my picking on him, and even threw some of his own teasing back at me. I always loved hanging out with him, and generally, he doesn't seem to mind hanging out with me, even though I'm just the younger little sister. One day that he was visiting, actually, Rachel had to be at work, and he spent some time gardening with me, and we cleaned up the irises and were poking slug antennae, watching the little eyeballs retract into their heads. He thought it was hysterical. So he's pretty easy to hang out with. I always look forward to his visits to Connecticut and my trips with Rachel to Virginia, and so does the whole family. Every time we see Jeremy, we always have a ton of fun, hiking, playing board games, and just spending time together. Jeremy has fully and completely passed every single test that we could possibly have ever come up with. And then, the way he wrapped Rachel's engagement ring in a giant shoebox, forcing her to search through piles of tissue paper in order to find the ring box, totally proved to us that he would fit perfectly into the family. Although at that point, all of our doubts and worries had been completely wiped away. Had it been necessary, I know that my whole family would have been willing to send Rachel a whole 20 hours out to Missouri, because we like Jeremy so much. Fortunately for us, though, they're only going to Virginia, and we can make frequent weekend visits to them without much difficulty. Now they're married, and we're all completely overjoyed. My mom and dad have a new son, and my brother and I have a new